Hello, and today we were playing Zomewhere Else. So last time we met Bruce in the forest because throughout the game we've been meeting him in the forest. I mean, in the park area in the town. We've been meeting him in the park area of town, but this is the first time that we actually got to come to Bruce in the forest where he lives, and unexpectedly it became very hostile. He started to attack Chad, and Fred kept telling him to stop, but Bruce said that. Chad told Bruce that he promised that he would be there for him, and that if he gets in any trouble, he should come to the force to get his help and his advice. So we didn't see that throughout the game, but Chad simply mentions that's what Bruce told him, and Bruce responded by saying that he did tell him that, but the circumstances have since changed. I don't know what those circumstances are, but all of a sudden he's going from helping Chad to flat out attacking him and being hostile. So something else is happening in the forest, and that caught Bruce's attention. So he's gone now. So and Fred told Chad to leave. So here's Chad right here down the mountain all by himself. So let's start now. Once you get close to it, you throw your body forward, rolling to a halt. As you fully stop, you collapse backwards to the dirt, dizzy, dirty, and completely exhausted from everything that has happened, fighting with your stinging lungs to get some deep, full breaths of air. There's a cool, crisp breeze blowing across your body, and you suck it in deep. The chill pierces and invigorates your lungs. You stay like that for several minutes since you can't really even move right now. You really wish you could since the cold, wet ground feels awful against your back, but your limbs still feel too much like jelly. Somehow, despite how nasty the fall was, you only have a couple of scratches and bruises, although now that the adrenaline is fading away, the pain is getting significantly worse, on top of intensifying your unhealed injuries from before. You clench your stomach, fighting against a wave of nausea as your head continues to spin. Oh God. This got my ass handed to me twice, and now this, can't a guy catch a break? Ugh. The pain racking your body is getting worse by the minute. Your breathing becomes unsteady, but before it can get out of control, you close your eyes and focus on it. Breathe, Chad. Breathe. The sound of the tree leaves swaying in the wind and the tranquility that comes from it helps you relax, albeit slowly. As your head finally stops spinning, you realize that the sensation is strangely familiar, since you've already had time to get used to it before. Thankfully, with each passing second, your strength returns to you more and more. You slowly open your eyes once again, finding yourself bathed in a ray of sunlight piercing through the dense canopy above that warms you, despite the cold ground beneath. You slowly open your eyes once again, finding yourself bathed in a ray of sunlight piercing through the dense canopy above that warms you, despite the cold ground below. It's surprisingly tranquil, and you let out a soft relief sigh. The moment's broken, though, as your ears pick up a buzzing sound near your head. Yeah, that's not a good sound. I need to move. You slowly sit back up, the pain having subsided to a dull, full-body ache by this point. You try to brush some of the gunk off of you, but you are coated in mud and a bunch of debris is stuck to it. You let out another sigh, this one of resignation, and turn your gaze back towards the slope you fell down. There's no way I can climb all the way back there. How the hell am I still alive after that? You can feel something tickle you in the ear, causing it to flick uncontrollably. Your body involuntarily cringes and you wave your hand around your head to get whatever it is to go away. However, you quickly notice that what was buzzing around you has a surprisingly beautiful, fluffy body. You quickly stop fanning at it, realizing that it actually seems to have taken an interest in you. Oh, hey there, little fella. After a moment spent thinking about it, you shrug, raising your hand towards it. Feel surprised it quickly lands on your knuckle. Its tiny feet tickle you as it crawls forward, surprisingly calm for such a tiny little creature. It eventually starts trotting comfortably around your hand, almost like a little dance. The small little moth flaps its long green wings, leaving a little dust around your hand. Suddenly you feel a small sting on the back of your hand, causing you to flinch, startling the moth as you pull your hand back, though it continues to flutter around in front of you. Sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to scare you. As your attention returns to your hand, you spot some blood drooling out of a small cut that you hadn't noticed before. After a moment, though, the dust surrounding it begins to dimly glow, and the cut starts to inexplicably close, tingling all the while. It only takes a couple seconds to vanish entirely, leaving only a small bead of blood behind. Whoa, what the hell? You stare at your hand, completely dumbfounded. You trace a finger over where the wound once was, and there's no pain at all anymore. Why? Wait. What? No, wait. How? What? Looking back up, you see that the moth is still hanging in front of you, almost like it's consciously gauging your response, maybe even a little bit proudly. Did you do this? The small moth does two flips while flying around. Am I talking to a moth? Oh God, I must have hit my head on my way down. I'm losing it. You shake your head, rubbing your eyes furiously and giving yourself a couple firm pats on either side of your face, then check once again to see if the cut's still gone. It is. Alright. With everything that's happened today, it shouldn't even be surprising anymore, huh? Yeah, you're definitely talking to a moth now, Chad. Well, surprisingly, the small moth flies from side to side twice, like it's responding. Is that a no? The small moth flies up and down 2 times. Well, thanks, I guess. The small moth does a flip. Yeah, I've totally lost it. It scratches awkwardly at the back of your head with a sigh. You finally begin to force yourself back up to your feet. You're unsteady at first, stumbling and falling back onto your hands and knees before managing to stand fully, wobbling a bit. Now back on your feet, at least sort of, you begin to take stock of your surroundings. The only identifying landmark, unfortunately, continues to be your own trail down the slope behind you. Well, what now? You can feel another tickle in your ear, forcing your attention back to the surprisingly chatty moth. The moth starts flying into the direction of the dense forest, stopping a short distance away before turning back, flitting in place like it's waiting for you. Are you trying to get me to follow you? The moth merely answers by once again turning back away from you and flying into the bush, quickly disappearing behind a tree. Your gaze lingers in its direction while you stare there, still confused beyond description. The moth comes back from behind the tree after a moment and flaps its wings, balancing itself hoarsely in midair. Some part of your brain wants to fill in this action with a tiny annoying voice demanding you listen to it. You're not sure why. Considering everything that's happened already, this is probably a bad idea, but I'll screw it. It's not like I have anything else to go on right now. Fred will be fine. I just have to believe in him. He's more than capable. You finally close the distance between yourself and the moth, who continues to bounce intensely in the air ahead of you. I'm coming. No need to flap your wings off. You make it a few more steps before a thought crosses your mind and you stop. Oh, wait. Duh. I'm an idiot. You reach into your pocket, and a small sense of relief washes over you as you find your phone still nestled inside a relatively undamaged to boot. Thank goodness it's not broken. The sense of relief quickly dissipates as you press the power button on the side, though. No battery, no signal. Awesome. Guess I'm following this moth after all. You move to once again pocket your phone, but hesitate, taking a brief moment to turn the volume down before doing so. With everything that's happened today, I'm not taking any more chances. Your attention returns to the moth. You see that it's at least settled down somewhat, but it's still waiting for you there. You really are waiting for me, huh? The moth flies from one side to the other. Is that a yes or no? The moth flies up and down, then leaves behind the tree, out of your sight. Yeah, whatever. You finally decide to follow it, stepping into the dense brush once more. The moth continues to fly in front of you, stopping whenever it gets more than a few meters ahead of you to wait for you to catch up. I can't be making this up, can I? It seems so intelligent. Hopefully, if it is, it's at least trying to leave me out here. Without slowing down, it bounces up and down in the air like it has a couple of times before. I didn't say anything. What are you nodding for? It stops, waiting once again for you to catch up and flitting back and forth while it waits. Man, I really just wish you could talk. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. As you keep walking, following the small moth friend that you just made, the forest remains dense. Shadows of the leaves loom over you, with occasional gaps for the sunlight to pierce through, warming the otherwise cold earth beneath your feet. After a while of following the moth in whatever direction it's taking you, you realize that you are not alone with it. As you walk, more and more moths are joining you, all seemingly headed in the same direction. What am I getting myself into? Shouldn't I be looking out for Fred? You're quickly lost in thought as you follow the moth, with too many things weighing on your mind to keep your focus on it. Come to think of it, what the hell was making those screeches earlier? Suddenly didn't sound like any creature I've ever heard before. Maybe it has to do with that weird creature in the woods that people have been talking about. You get some strange movement from the moth in your peripheral vision. You turn to face it, but in doing so, finally notice that there are now many more pairs of wings following along with you and your little friend. Wow, are these all friends of yours? The moth keeps flying, offering no response whatsoever. After a bit more walking, you can begin to make out a faint light concentrated in a single spot. And the closer you get, the more and more wings join you, flying like mesmerizing currents in the same directions as you. Once you get close to the light, the currents all flow towards it, but it takes your eyes a moment to adjust to what they're surrounding. Once you see clearly, though, you notice a big figure on its knees, pawing aimlessly at the dirt in front of it. You quickly throw yourself behind a nearby tree and nervously peek. You watch as more and more currents of wings flow in from other directions, all surrounding the figure as if in some ceremonial dance around it, all moving perfectly in sync. It looks like they're dancing. You notice your little moth friend as it joins them, instead hovering right next to you, bobbing smoothly up and down, but you're too focused on the thing in the clearing to pay it too much attention. What the hell is that thing? What if it's dangerous? I've never seen any species like that. Is it some kind of new mix? Like, I don't know. I see that somehow inherited more arms and a pair of wings, like my boar fangs. Or maybe it's your little friend flies directly in front of your face, weaving side to side. Is this what you wanted to show me? It nods once again. I think it was throwing me away back down the mountain. It flips. It answers you with a flip. That doesn't make me feel any better, you know? It flutters in front of you for a moment longer before turning, curving around the tree and heading towards the big one. It stops halfway between the two of you, turning back towards you once again. It flies in a small circle, almost like it's beckoning you. Yeah, no, sorry, but following a moth into the woods is as crazy as I'm willing to go, too. Your thoughts are interrupted by several small points of pressure on your back, pushing with a distressing amount of force. You look back to see a number of moths and other insects pushing you forward, and you can't fight against them. Hey, what the hell? As you push out of your hiding spot behind the tree, you notice your attention is inevitably shifts, pendant to the bigger creature as you watch as the little moth flies casually up to it. The big creature's antenna perks up as its attention tilts towards the tiny moth. It calmly lifts a hand, and the moth lands gingerly on it. All the while, the insects behind you continue to push you further into the clearing, inevitably causing it to notice you. It instantly stands up, taking a few steps back while carefully pulling the tinier moth closer to its body. You grow up nervously, as a cold sweat forming along your forehead as you're pushed even closer towards it. Damn, I had to do something before this turns out really bad. You say a small prayer, then finally take charge, stepping forward slowly and carefully of your own volition. The insects at your back disperse once you do. Hi, I'm sorry for scaring you. I promise I mean you no harm. The big creature stares before you, still as a statue, as his eyes scan you from head to toe. Like an emissary of peace, your moth friend takes off from the big thing's hand and begins to fly back towards you calmly. Now that I think about it, maybe it's a moth, too? Their wings look pretty similar. As your little friend closes the gap towards you, you give the big guy another look over. He's got 4 arms, a ring of thick fluff around his neck, and 2 red antennae that look somewhat like horns. A pair of wings extend out from beneath his fluff, draped over his shoulders and down his back like an elegant, flowing cape. Though no matter how hard you look, you can't see the spot a mouth, or ears, or anything like that. As your little friend gets close, you slowly extend your hand towards it once more, and it lands peacefully on the tip of your index finger. The big moth guy's eyes go wide as if he's realized something shocking. Noticing this, you take another gulp and summon up the courage to talk to him again. Can you talk? He flinches, then awkwardly looks at the ground and begins to nervously poke all 4 of his index fingers together, cheeks turning a little bit pink. An awkward silence fills the space between you, and he only occasionally looks up at you before his eyes dart back to the ground. Maybe not. Okay, let me try asking something else. Can you understand me? The let's just go with Mothman looks at you once, timidly nodding his head. You breathe a small sigh of relief, grateful that you're at least getting somewhere. Okay, good. Then let me reiterate. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just really lost. You raise a hand that the tiny moth is riding on towards him, making sure your movement are measured and slow as to not startle the big guy. This little one let me here to you, which is why I'm here now. His gaze remains locked on you, but he silently rubs at his elbow with one of his hands. He apparently still doesn't fully trust you yet. Your moth friend begins to flap his wings, weakly pulling your finger towards the bigger one. Are you a moth? The big moth man tilts his head, confused by your question. Then his gaze tilts downwards, and one of his hands comes up to his chin or whatever on him counts as one as he attempts to process what you mean. You use your other hand to point towards the tiny moth, who's still trying and failing to pull you closer towards the big one. You know, a moth, like this little guy. The Mothman jumps and nods enthusiastically, finally understanding your meaning. You nod return, a smile crossing your muzzle as you slowly begin to relax a little around him. I see. Well, I'm a Doberman. The big mouth tilts his head once more. Oh, I'm, a dog? Like, bark bark and stuff. His eyes close and he tilts his head once again, this time more playfully, even making a noise that you think might be a laugh. You figure he at least somewhat gets what you mean, but you're definitely speculating. So, you have a name? He nods at you, getting on his knees and beginning to scribble in the dirt with a finger, but it's too small to see. I can't really see it from here. Your moth little friend, flies back towards him. He lifts another hand without looking, and the tiny one perches once again on that raised hand. Is it okay if I come closer? The big moth nods happily, clearly becoming more comfortable with your presence as well. Okay, just please don't do anything to me either. The big moth shakes his head and looks at you with gentle, happy eyes that are actually fairly expressive. It's probably a good thing, since he has no other features to read at all. Still, with careful, measured steps, you close the distance between the two of you, crossing down next to him as he slowly walks back and forth, quietly humming to himself as he draws. Though, when you actually check to see what he's drawing, you see it's just a load of gibberish. There's no discernible pattern whatsoever. It just looks like somebody threw a bunch of leather magnets at a refrigerator door and called it good enough. Though, when you look back up at him, you find him staring at you like an unexpected puppy if what he had drawn made perfect sense. You nervously resign yourself to your fate and return your gaze to the jumbled mess of letters. So, S-C-O-L-S again? So your name is... She goes to Fitz. His eyes narrow and his horn-like antenna curl downwards. Sorry, I really have no idea what it says. His angry stare fades quickly, and he lets out another one of those eagle-like sounds, seemingly in response to your own laughter. Do you know what a name is? The big moth nods. Is that what you were trying to draw? The big moth shakes his head. Big mouth just watches you as you shake your head. Are we just gonna communicate with yes or no? He answers you by drawing more in the wet dirt, but once again it's nothing but gibberish. Do you even know what your name is? He freezes in place, eyes wide, but they quickly turn somber, his antenna drooping a bit as he shakes his head. Oh, well, how about I give you a name then? How about... He scanned the mess of gibberish, trying to discern something usable from all the scribbles and lines. All the while, the big mouth, continued to idly trace more in the ground, seemingly enjoying himself quite a bit. I see you like to draw a lot. The Mothman nods happily. Well, let's see then. You really seem to like circular shapes, so Moth, his antenna shoot straight up and he turns to you, nodding furiously. Face once again, a dim shade of pink. You like it? I mean, it's not exactly perfect. I kinda just came up with it on the spot. Despite your light hesitance, he continues to beam at you, slowly walking side to side with glee. You suddenly begin to feel very bad about getting him so excited over such a hastily thrown together name. Are you sure? It's not even that creative. I mean, just threw Moth in front of OC because that's what your drawing kind of looks like. I could definitely come up with something better if I... He shakes his head furiously, one of his big hands lunging out towards yours and grabbing it, shaking it firmly. The act makes you jump at first, but you quickly settle once you realize he's just excited. Alright, if you say so, Martha it is. Then, wait. Martha looks at you, waiting for you to continue, but your eyes are focused on the hand he's still clinging onto clinging on you with. It looks like there's some kind of bruise around his wrist. Noticing what you're staring at his hand, Moffat flinches, quickly retracting it and covering his face to hide a form of radiant blush that had crossed his cheeks. No, wait. May I see that hand again, Ashley? He peeks at you from behind his hands, blinking in surprise at you for a moment before slowly extending that hand back over to you, which you carefully take once again to get a closer look. Molly's hands are soft to the touch and very warm, but your attention is more focused on a effortless ring around his wrist. It's hard to see covered up by the thick fur surrounding it, but it's definitely there. In fact, it looks like one of these bruises is on every single one of his wrists. He carefully brushes that fur back, only getting a very brief glimpse of the strange, unhealthy color of the properly healed bruise before. Marlon flinches, pulling his hand back and covering it up with another hand, almost like he's protecting it from you. Ah, sorry, I didn't realize it was that sensitive. Can I see it again? I promise I'll be more careful this time. He looks at you for a moment, showing a small amount of hesitation before returning his hand to you carefully. You give him a comforting smile before once again taking his hand brushing the fur back once more as carefully as you possibly can, which seems to spare the poor mouth of any pain this time. It's a sickly purple color. Your eyes droop at the sad sight, based on how he reacted when you even lightly touched it without thinking. It's clearly uncomfortable for him. Just as you start to ponder what you can do, though, you remember your own wound from before. You quickly look around, finding the tinier mouth fluttering above Martha's shoulder, watching the whole interaction from above. Hey, wait, do you think you can help him out, too? The little moth seems to catch onto your meaning, fluttering down onto the back of Martha's hand. Just stand still, right? Martha nods, focusing on the tinier mouth as it crawls towards his wrist with an almost childlike curiosity. The little moth proceeds to flap its wings the same dust as before, dispersing from its wings and coating the bruise, filling the air with a distinctive pollen-like smell that tickles your nose. Just like before, the dust emits a dim glow, and the gross color begins to dissipate from Martha's wrist. His eyes remain glued on his wrist, totally enthralled by the sight. You don't notice it right away, but his eyes have begun to glow as well. There we go. Does it still hurt? You apply a very small amount of pressure on the bare spot, carefully watching him for any sudden flinches or signs that you're hurting him. Thankfully, he doesn't react at all, so you breathe a small sigh of relief, happy it seems to have worked. I still don't really understand it, but I'm glad it worked. You freeze your eyes meet, and you finally notice your sign. You blink a few times, trying to figure out exactly what you're looking at. But whoa! Before you can really process it, though, Martha suddenly grabs you with all fours of his arms and lifts you up off the ground in a tight bear hug, burying your face in his neck fluff as he does. The pollen-like scent is overwhelming with your nose pressed to him. It's actually very soft and comforting for a moment until he begins to swing you side to side, spinning around in a small circle all over the clearing, clearly already doing a lot better. Whoa! Put me down. Mother abruptly stops with a flinch, quickly returning your feet to the ground with a slow, careful movement, releasing you and backing away a few steps awkwardly. His antennae are drooping, and he looks away from you, visibly ashamed. Take a moment to shake away the dizziness, taking a deep breath to fully right yourself once more before tenderly patting his arm to comfort him. It's okay, Martha. No need to be sad. You grin and then point to your mouth with your other hand. Come on, give me a smile. You instantly realize your mistake, but Martha seems to respond positively all the same. His expression brightens back up, finally calmed down once again. There we go. That's more like it. If anything, you should be saying thanks to the little guy. You look back to see where the little moth was, but you can't see it anymore. Wait, where did it go? You scan your surroundings, expecting to find something, but suddenly you and Martha are completely alone in the clearing. Even the other insects have all vanished. Do you know where it went? Martha shakes his head, eyes never breaking away from you. It wouldn't surprise you if he wasn't even looking. Oh, alright. Well, either way, it was the little guy who helped you, so be sure to say thanks next time you see it, okay? Martha nods excitedly. You can't tell if he's actually agreeing with the sentiment or just agreeing with you on impulse. For your own sanity, you choose to believe the former. Good. It's really important to show gratitude to people that have helped you, you know? I want to talk. Maybe I should listen to my own advice. Never let a good deed go without gratitude. At least that's what my mom used to say. He gets a puzzled look again, once again tilting his head to the side. What? He looks down, looking a little awkward all of a sudden. Do you have a mom? He shakes his head, then looks back up at you expectantly. Wait, do you know what a mom... never mind. Moms are... You awkwardly scratch at your cheek as you ponder your wording. How the hell do you describe a mom to somebody who doesn't know? Moms are somebody who's always there for you, I guess. Someone that usually lives with you and cares about you and loves you no matter what, or is supposed to at least. Do we have someone like that? He lights up once again, nodding enthusiastically. Oh, thank God. Maybe if I can figure out where this person is, I can take this poor guy to them so he's not wandering around the woods alone. Oh, cool. So, where's that person for you? Do you know? He brings a hand up to his chin, eyes shifting upwards as he thinks hard about your question, leaving an awkward silence in the air. As the seconds tick by, you get more and more confused as you look up at him. As you stare, waiting for some kind of response, you start to feel a little lightheaded, but you shake it off. When you look back at we look back up at Malthak, his eyes have finally trailed to the forest behind you. And a moment later, he lifts a hand and points back the way you came, towards the mountain. Oh, so he's that way, huh? You know, she might be pretty worried about you. You should probably head back now, huh? He twitches, antenna pointed straight up for just a moment before they droop, and he shyly looks away. A smile blush across his cheeks as he pushes his index fingers together. Now that I think about it, Fred might be coming this way from that direction too. If he's okay, that is. Martha tilts his head at you once again. Sorry, Fred's a friend of mine. I was just thinking out loud, no need to worry. But hey, would you happen to know a way out of this forest? You know, down the mountain? Martha notices what you are trying to say and looks down to his fingers, twiddling his thumbs quietly while awkwardly glancing around. Eventually, though, his gaze returns behind you. I shifted to you and then back to the path almost insistently, like he's trying to tell you something. He gets impatient quickly, though, walking past you a few paces before turning and pointing with two hands back up the trail more firmly. No, I came from that way. I meant a way down, not back into the forest. He ponders what you said for a moment before pulling his arms back a bit, then thrusting them back towards the path once again. You sure? He gives you a confident nod, finally lowering his arms back to the side. Alright, if you say so. I already followed one moth to get here. What's the harm in following another? He nods once more, then motions for you to follow with all four of his hands before turning and trotting quite happily off. He stops after a few steps to make sure you're following, though. Well, if I ever make it back home, at least I'll have quite the story to tell. You let out a sigh and begin to follow him. He bounces when he notices you finally coming, then spins around and resumes leading you away. You realize that this is actually the first time you've seen his back. Your eyes trail down his form until they lay on his butt. Has he been naked this whole time? How did I not notice? Well, maybe it's normal for creatures like him to not wear clothes out in the wild. Or maybe he went through the same things I did. No use thinking about that, Chad. You shake the thought away with a small sigh and continue to walk back the way you came, this time with a big moth as opposed to a small one, though no matter how hard you try, you cannot stop noticing how naked he is. Inevitably, your eyes scan him and you admire his attributes, his big, broad shoulders, that firm, muscular back and thighs, strong, fluffy arms that are perfect for hugging, and that butt. You snap your gaze forcefully away, peering off into the distance past Martha as your face glows red, while he continues to trot along, none the wiser to your lecturer's stare, and seemingly completely oblivious to his nudity. After a moment, though, he does look back at you, and you instinctively flinch as you realize you're caught, making your face burn even harder from embarrassment. Or maybe it's just second-hand embarrassment, from him being naked and completely unbothered or still off his body. Either way, just to be safe, you pick up your pace and catch up to him, walking with him side to side. So, what brought you here all alone in the middle of the forest? He merely shrugs in response. Oh, so you're out here just because? He nods. Okay, well, do you have a home here in Mama Bobble? He shakes his head, then turns his attention back to the path ahead. Do you? Before you can finish asking another question, he suddenly dashes off ahead of you, his big wings fluttering in the breeze behind him as he runs. Hey, wait up! You rush after him, your legs quickly beginning to scream at you from overwork throughout the day. Thankfully, you only run for a little bit, returning to the place where you crashed landed before. Still, though, you are out of breath, bending over and putting your hands on your knees. Martha turns around to face you and points back up the hill. You're sure that's the way down the mountain? He nods excitedly, and then puts a pair of hands on his hips, standing there before you, brimming with confidence, still very, very much naked. Your eyes quickly snap to the ground in front of you to avoid any more unfortunate second-hand embarrassment. Okay, if you say so, Martha. You take a deep breath before standing back up, walking over to his side, and peering back up to the steep slope. But, how do you figure we're going to get up there? He brings a hand to his chin, again, part of this new problem. Actually, I imagine it would be no problem for you. With wings like that, I bet you can fly no sweat. At least I think they're wings. They look like it. He slowly shakes his head, deflating a bit from the question. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have assumed. He looks up at you, shaking his head once again, giving your shoulder a pat. Guess you didn't hurt his feelings too much then. However, as he's patting you, his eyes trail to your arms, and then you can practically see the light bulb that pops over his head as he snaps his fingers. He carefully pushes you a few steps back, then turns to face the big ass hill you fell down with a look of determination in his eyes. I'm gonna stop right here. I still got to meet the Mothman, who turns out to be Mothic. Well, that's what Chad's calling him now, Mothic. So, while Chad was out there naked, right before he got fired from his job, I think he had some kind of hallucination, and this voice turned out to be Mothic. He kept calling him Master, and then he got surprised when Chad did not remember him. I'm not sure what that's about. But anyway, it clearly was talking to Chad, but maybe that's a hallucination, because Mothic right here, right now, he doesn't seem to have the capability of talking. I mean, he clearly understands Chad, but he himself apparently can't talk. Because he doesn't have a mouth or a nose. Anyway, that little moth that came to Fred and made him go through the forest to Mothic. I don't know what reason the little moth carried Fred towards Mothic. It seemed to be intelligent, it seemed like that little moth seemed to be intelligent in that it understood what Fred was saying, what Chad was saying. That little mouse didn't understand what Chad was saying. And it flew up and down and sideways to indicate that he understood Chad. So I don't know if that small moth had any connection to Martha, who's a big moth. I mean, the moth was in Martha's hand, and Martha seemed to act like it knew the little moth. But anyway, I'm still wondering about that little moth and if it had any connection to the story. But anyway, so we'll see more of Chad and Martha next time. Thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.